Hi, I'm Margaret Cho with WSJ Speakeasy, and we're joined today by Margaret Cho, comedian, television, and film star. Thanks for joining us today, Margaret.
Thank you.
So you have a new live concert film DVD called Cho Dependent.
Yes.
And I know you give these live shows throughout the country, very, very popular, but you also have many fans who know you through your DVDs all around the world. So can you tell us what's different about this show from your previous shows?
Well, it's all new material, and so what I do is I'll do a show and I'll write something, and then I'll put it on film, and then put it out on DVD, or it'll go on TV for a while, and then I can go and write all new material for the next show, so that I have. It's good for me to record it and then kind of leave the show behind and then do another one. So it's just a way for me to kind of archive my own work. And but this show's different. I have some music in it. I got to shoot it in Atlanta, which is kind of like my second home because I shoot Drop Dead Diva there, and so it's a really nice place to start from and do the show from. And so yeah, this is like an exciting show.
So you just mentioned your show Drop Dead Diva, which you film in Atlanta for Lifetime. Can you tell us about the new season and what we can expect?
I don't even know. It's they're writing it now. They never tell us what's going to happen. We have to kind of wait and get there, and then we find out. Like I never really get a heads up on what happens to my character until we're shooting that episode.
We all know in 1994 you were in the groundbreaking sitcom All American Girl, but you have since said that experience left you, it was a little traumatic, you said, and it wasn't the happiest experience for you. So I'm just curious how, in your experience, things have changed over the years with your experience with television, and in your opinion, if being Asian American and being on television now is easier than it was maybe back in '94.
Oh yeah, it's a lot easier. And also the thing what we were doing then, it was this big deal because All American Girl was the first Asian American family on television, and that there was so much emphasis put on race that it was hard to write within those parameters and to write continually about race and culture and talk about it, but also be a comedy show was very difficult. And then you think about the way that the Korean community viewed itself. We're coming right out of the LA riots, and so the Korean community at the time was very, very self-conscious about their self-image. And then I came along, and I've never really been what is considered a good example of the Korean community because I'm, pretty foul-mouthed, pretty uneducated, pretty like rock and roll, and it's not what the Korean community wanted to see as themselves, especially after such a kind of the image of them was from the LA riots. And so it was a weird time to talk about Korean identity. In general, the Korean community does not really want a woman representing them anyway, because they don't really care about the women. They want the men to represent them. I mean, it's a very, very male-dominated culture. It's a very different world, but I really love what's happening now with all the different kinds of ways you can be a performer and all the different kinds of ways you can have your work out there, and so I'm very excited.
Do you think that starting a show again like All American Girl would be possible and maybe easier this time around?
It would be great to develop a show that would be like All American Girl, that would be more appropriate to what my writing style is. I still don't know if I am really about writing a family show. Like, I don't think that was the right thing for me anyway to be in a family show, but that was the only way that they could perceive of me then. But my emergence into comedy was a very big deal in the 90s because it had been so much about white people, and they wanted to change, and they wanted like a new Cosby show, and they wanted like a new kind of form of a Bill Cosby. But I'm not necessarily that kind of performer. My comedy tradition comes much more from somebody like Richard Pryor.
I know you blog daily, which is remarkable that you find the time to do it every day. So first I want to ask how you actually find the time every day to write on your blog, because you also write pretty substantive posts. They're not just one paragraph posts, they're full posts, 500 words, 600 words. And I'm just curious if you have a routine. I mean, do you have to write at the same time every day? Do you need your coffee by your side?
Oh yeah, I definitely need coffee. I really love coffee. I'm a big caffeine addict and fan. Well, what I do usually is I try to get up and write and have as fresh of a mind as I can. I'd love to write another book, but I really think this kind of blogging is really what I do best, and I think that in itself is a good and legitimate book that never ends.
Do you feel in some ways it's a more honest reflection of you, like that's really the real Margaret Cho, maybe more so than your comedy?
Oh yeah, but it isn't. But in my comedy, it's just in comedy that there is a need to get to the heart of the matter, and that you have to really be brief. That's the art of comedy, and in that way, a comedy is very much about poetry. But in my writing and blogging and stuff, I can actually expound on certain ideas that I don't get to in comedy. So I think they're both me, but one is sort of like a shorter version, one is more of a long-winded version.
If you want to share with us, I know that you're in New York because you have a fresh tattoo. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I went to my friend's tattoo studio, which is in Brooklyn. It's called Saved, and it's wonderful. I have an older friend who works there, Chris O'Donnell, who owns the studio, along with Scott Campbell, they're very incredible tattooers, and Chris O'Donnell did a tattoo, I mean, when he was at New York Adorned, but I came to see another guy, Chris Clean. So he did a painting on my arm, and it's so new, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's like two men, and they're sort of over this woman in bed, and it's a very, like, playful, and it's one of his sort of erotic drawings, but it's actually not quite so, like, I don't know. It's not so like rude or anything. It's very genteel, and I like the styling. I like this sort of Americana thing that he does. He also has he also did two faces on my butt, which I'm sitting on right now, so I can't show you.
But it's a little painful right now.
It's painful.
Right, so.
But I mean, my tattooing is like it is a job almost unto itself, but I make sure to keep areas of my body clear. Like there's nothing on my arms really below my elbows, because I want to be able to be an actor and kind of transform into other characters, which is easy to do. If you don't have certain things covered, you don't seem like a tattooed person. But tattooing has been something that has been in my life for a long time. I tried to convince my dad that if I got a tattoo at 12, I would have friends, and my dad was like, no, but he knew that it was coming, like tattooing and riding motorcycles and doing all these things that I wanted to do when I was a kid. I'm finally like doing now as an adult, and so they're all very prepared for this.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I'm Barbara Chai. We were speaking with Margaret Cho. Thanks so much.